Hi, welcome to Digesting Beer with me, Stefan. And tonight we're gonna go a different route than the way I've been going recently, just drinking week-old IPAs non-stop, exploring different new hop varieties and trying to figure out what they taste like. Instead, we're gonna go to a kind of different thing, at least got into different flavors, Passionfruit Kicker from Green Flash. It's their new Belgian wheat style ale, brewed with passion fruit and passion fruit tea also. I've noticed that for the past year or so, passion fruit has been popping up in a lot more beers, at least actually in some beers. I'd never had any beer that used passion fruit in it a year ago, I think. The one that's readily available is the Avery Lilikoi Capolo, which is similar style with that one. I think they're going for a little bit more of a traditional Belgian wheat beer, and then just with passion fruit juice added also. In this beer, they don't use coriander in the Green Flash, which is in the Avery one, and coriander is a traditional Belgian wheat additive. They use also passion fruit tea, which I don't know if that's a black tea with dried passion fruit in there or anything like that. We'll have to see what it tastes like. So I think they're just trying to bring the passion fruit out even more than the Avery one. And I've also had some saisons brewed with passion fruit and mango juice and stuff like that. But I think Green Flash is just trying to be passion fruit in your face totally with this one. That's what I'm guessing. And I usually don't go for a lot of fruity wheat beers, especially when they seem like they're just kind of supposed to be all about added flavors and sweetness. But I love passion fruit quite a bit because it tastes so much like the fruitiness from Citra hops and Mosaic hops, because those lend a really interesting tropical passion fruit flavor to them. Except that beers that actually have passion fruit in them are a little bit tart, which I also love too. So I'm really excited to try this one. Really happy that it's out in 6-packs, and I think it might be year-round. It'd be kind of funny if it were winter seasonal, because passion fruit in winter, are people going to go for it? I mean, I went for it because I really wanted to try it. It's 5.5% alcohol, and the best by date on the bottle is June 22nd, and I'm pretty sure most of their beers are dated best by 6 months after the bottling date. So this is exactly 1 month and a week old, which is perfectly fresh for a beer that hasn't been heavily dry hopped. There's a nice traffic traveling by. It's Friday night. There might be some honking too. But let's look at that. Ooh, very pale. Pretty well carbonated. Oh, it almost looks like some of the IPAs I've been drinking. Hazy, a very finely textured haze. No chunks or anything like that. And a nice glow to it when I hold it up to the light. The head looks soapy, but I'm already smelling the passion fruit. Ooh, yeah. It smells very, very good. Extremely juicy, very tart. The passion fruit is really what stands out in this beer. And they do use Belgian yeast in this, along with wheat malt and 2-row malted barley, so not very complex in the malt bill, which makes totally perfect sense for this beer. But it just smells like pure passion fruit juice, like some kind of really, the way some kind of polar seltzer would smell in heaven or something like that. It's tart, but not mouth-wateringly tart. Maybe a little bit, just because I can smell it now. Anticipating just a little bit of tartness, but it's not like it's going to be a sour beer or something intentionally soured. I'm sure they didn't use lactobacillus in this, or they would have told us, or acidulated malt, which again, a little bit more acid. I mean, maybe they did, but I think the passion fruit brings out enough. It smells a little sweet, but very tropical. Very, very distant banana, not super ripe banana, almost like green banana. Like the yeast isn't coming out too much. I don't get much clove or anything like that, what you might get from Belgian yeasts. Just a hint. Yeah, just a hint of some kind of general spiciness, sort of soft white pepper, maybe. But not an intense clove that you might get in some saisons or hefeweizens. Mm. Ooh, soft, soft, almost full, fluffy body. Perfect tartness. Now I'm salivating just a little bit, but just a touch of sweetness, but not too much. That's what I was a little afraid of. I've had some passion fruit beers that are a little bit too big, too malty, or too sweet. Well, this really nails the delicious, tropical, refreshing spritzer idea. This is definitely something that is going to be very hot this summer, I think. And there's no, I can tell that there's no coriander in here, which would bring in a different kind of fruity spice. They're really letting the passion fruit just speak for itself in this beer. It's got some nice lacing on there, a little cap of foam, and sort of medium-high carbonation. It's a little hard to see it because of the translucent perfect haze, but it's a really beautiful glow in that beer. And the aroma is like very, very big. It's almost has the intense fruity aroma of a dry hopped beer. And that's one reason why I love beers with passion fruit. And they do this really well because they have just a touch of sweetness to keep that juicy body succulent on your tongue. But it's not too much that it's really full and not as refreshing. And that's what I like in my hoppy beers, is to have a big fruity aroma, but then a little bit of dryness to make it just really refreshing and not too sweet and fruity. And the tartness and that slight, very, 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 very slight tannic quality, I can tell that's there from the tea. I can't tell if it's black tea or whatever, because I think it's a very small amount of it. But that's adding a little bit of a drying effect on the tongue, because they say only 5 IBUs in this. So I think that little bit of tea and tartness fills in for the hops and the bitterness that we don't have in this beer. And also prevents the hops from taking away from the passion fruit. Though I think this beer would be great if it was dry hopped. I might experiment with that myself, just putting a few hops inside of a bottle and then pouring it out of there. And when I was doing research on this beer, I saw that it started off with an experimental beer where they're going to make a white IPA with passion fruit and Brettanomyces, maybe even aged in wood. And that was sort of the beginnings of this beer, and that sounds like my favorite beer of all time. Send that beer to me, please, Green Flash. Make it available, because I would love that. But this is surprisingly, I mean, it's simple, but it's got a lot of special flavors and works really well for itself. It's not one-sided, sweet, fruity, sort of boring beer. It's got everything that I was looking for in this beer, and maybe more. And I think the special thing is probably their use of the passion fruit tea instead of lots of hops or coriander, to add a little bit of a tannic spice to handle all that juiciness. And the body is still rather full and soft, like a really good European wheat beer should have. I'm gonna give this one a pretty good score. I think it should get like a 8.75 out of 10. Maybe 8.5. I'm just thinking about all the great beers I've given 8.5s to, but this one is just a little bit different, and I'm enjoying it a lot in the 6-pack. is not going to be in my fridge too long. So I'll go with, how about 8.6666 repeating or something. Obviously, I don't take these ratings too seriously, and you shouldn't. It's more about tasting the beer and talking about it. So, we're gonna flash Passionfruit Kicker. At least pick some up on a sunny day. Goodbye. To describe all the different fruity flavors I'm getting in this besides Passionfruit, because I personally haven't eaten straight up Passionfruit, and I don't know if many people have. It's kind of got a melony taste to it, like sweet watermelon candy, a little bit of strawberry. I mean, cantaloupe and honeydew, every melon you can think of is in there. Yeah, strawberry, kiwi, maybe even a little bit. And I can actually imagine cucumber going well with this beer. It's got a little bit of that kind of wet, cool, juicy quality to it, but it's not like pickly in any way. Yeah, they say bubblegum in their description, but it's not quite that yeasty. Like, I've had plenty of Belgian beers that were huge in-your-face bubblegum. This is maybe more of a juicy fruit gum aroma. Just like with a big soft berry medley. It's not quite deep, dark berries like blueberry or raspberry. Maybe just a touch of raspberry. And like distant ripe cherry or something, but it's mostly just the light berries and the melons kind of describe the fruitiness of that, and it's very nice. Very nice. It's in the finish that I notice a little bit of a crackery, grainy quality from the malts, and just like a subtle, soft spice from the yeast. And maybe just a touch of chalkiness, of yeasty sort of chalkiness. Not quite in the levels that you'll get from some like Brettanomyces beers or Saisons or anything like that. But I think that's working also with the tea to give us a little bit of a darker complexity that's drying in the finish to make it really nice.